Yo, this is for you. I am my number one fan. For you, this is for you. I am my number one fan. For you, yo, this is for you. I am my number one fan. For you, I am my number one fan. I'm trying to get you from here to there. I'm trying to show niggas it ain't fair. How I just came up, but you not there. Stuck in the same situation you been in. They got the plug, you got the sound. You not just a groupie that's hanging around. They got the stage, but you bring the lights. It's enough room at the top, we ain't gotta fight. I am my number one fan. I am that legend you stand for. When the crowds disperse, we'll see what you stand for.
This is
the Neighbors Podcast.
He's Reese.
He's Arnold.
Listen to us on
iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and YouTube.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And y'all can listen to us daily.
Every day. So, Reese, man, you know I had a great interview last week, man.
I know,
with a decent brother.
Right.
You know, and you know this brother.
Yeah.
And before we even get into the interview, I was wondering if you can go ahead and tell us how you met this brother.
All right, so I met this brother quite a few years ago. He was a good friend of my pastor at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to work on cleaning floors and things, and I was the church administrator.
Okay.
And so he would come in on Fridays when nobody else was in the church. Mm-hmm. So it would just be here and now. We used to bust it up and talk about a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. We would talk about how to move the church forward. We would talk about different things in the community that's not happening. We would even mention how he was going and taking things to men's shelters and things like that, but also how he was on his grind doing clean outs.
Right.
You know, he wasn't just doing floors for churches, but he was doing it for post offices and other corporate entities around the Philadelphia metro area.
Okay.
And so we have become really, really cool friends, and I would see him everywhere and anywhere. and so ultimately he used to call me Motown.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that because I remember him telling me that the nickname Motown that came about.
Right.
And he told me why, but I want you to tell everybody else why.
Yeah, right. It's just, I just be around. I just be all over the place.
Exactly. He said every time he turned around, there you was. So you just moving around town, so he decided to call you Motown.
Right. But it's good to have people like this, that are positive.
Right.
And he's affecting the community in a number of different ways.
Right, correct.
And I'm glad that you had the opportunity to interview your own pastor at this time, because at that time he wasn't a pastor.
Right.
But he was, he was your pastor. Why don't you, what you think about him?
Well, I think he's a very good guy. I've been going to the church for about maybe 3.5 years now. Me and my wife had joined. My wife joined first. Okay. And then I came in. And, at that particular time in my life, I was looking for some type of structure. But I didn't want to be under a certain type of structure. Right. So I needed a little flexibility. Mm-hmm. And I needed to be a little open-minded about certain things. So I didn't want to be constricted to one thing as far as religion and stuff was concerned. Mm-hmm. So then I met PA, we call him PA, but his name is Pastor Aaron. And I met him and sat down with him and I talked with his wife and we had a good conversation. And the first thing I told him was, when I'm ready to commit, I will commit. But I need to do my own investigation, which I do with everything. Okay. I usually investigate anything before I even commit myself to anything. But other than that, we have had a very good relationship. I have learned a lot from him. I learned a lot about his past. I learned a lot about where he wants to go. And overall, he's a pretty good pastor. He's not your typical pastor.
Right, you're right.
He's not like them dudes that's constantly passing the plate around. We want this type of money and all this stuff. Because he's more so about what God has done for him and where God has brought him. Real. So that was pretty cool, and I liked it. I liked it the way he presented that to me. Right. So like I said, I was already on a small journey anyway, searching for some things, and he kind of completed me a little bit. And I'm still searching. I'm still doing what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. But God allows people to be in your life. And God allows people to come into your life for a season and a reason. Right. To help you out and to get past what you need to get past. Right. But, the interview was great.
Good.
I would like the interview. It could have been a little bit longer, you know, and he does like to talk.
Okay.
He is a pastor, so he definitely likes to talk.
Okay.
But it was a real good interview, man.
Good.
I'm glad that I had that interview with him.
Okay. So, you know, let's not waste any more time with this. You know, would you like to introduce your pastor?
Yeah, well, you know, we going to play the tape so we can see how he is. Because, you know, the interview was pre-recorded, y'all. So, without a further ado, you're about to listen to Pastor Aaron Asbury of About My Father's Business. Okay, y'all, you know this is your boy Arnold. This is the Neighbors Podcast. Yo, I got a real great interview for you guys today. This gentleman here that I'm about to bring on, he's a pillar in the community. He's somebody that we all look up to, and he's a very good guy. So without further ado, let me introduce Pastor Aaron Asbury of About My Father's Business.
Thank you, Brother Arnold, for that great introduction. Truly, I'm so proud that you guys feel that way about me. But without me, I also have to mention my wife, because we are a team. And I'm just so grateful that you guys have come into our ministry. You have been nothing but sheer inspiration to us.
Thank you.
And, you know, when I first met Arnold, of course I first met his wife first, because they do say that, you know, women lead their husbands to church. And I'm just so grateful that Nikki, who is just such a queenly person, and I have to say this because every time I think about it, it makes me well up. One of the testimonies that she had gave at church one time, not too much for words, but when she does speak, it's from the heart, and it's truth, and it's with feeling.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So I'm grateful for God for them, but these guys are just a lovely couple. I enjoy seeing couples that you can see from a vision or from a view or from afar that they truly love each other. And of course, you know, we wish everyone could be like that, but they lead by example. And I'm just so grateful to be in their presence. They're comedians. They like to laugh. They like to joke. They like to have fun. But most of all, you can tell when someone's in love when they can tease each other and they don't get mad. I like in church when I may say something. Of course, I am a pastor, but I'm also a comedian. I think I was a comedian first, but now God has led me to be a pastor, and I can say some things, and then Arnold will give one of his little ginty looks at Nikki, and she'll turn around and give that look at him. But it's all about love, and it's a love thing, and I'm truly grateful for them as well as other couples, and they're just an example of what love is all about. Through all the dangers seen and unseen, all the trials and tribulations, that has really, really enhanced their love for each other, as what it should be. When one goes through something, we need somebody to stand there for us and be there for us. As they say, ride and die with us and for us. So I'm just truly grateful for this couple. This man of God right here, he's such an inspiration. You know, I think about him often from the trials and tribulations, his past, and it has really enhanced me, you know, to the point of not selling for anything, but just being there in the presence of God to let him lead us as he has led him. And this is what it's all about, you know. Men begot men, and I'm thankful that we have begot him as a man in our congregation.
Thank you, my brother. You know, you seem like you doing an interview with me. I'm supposed to be talking all this good stuff about you, man, and you telling them about my wife and about mine. But I appreciate that, because that lets me know that I'm on the right path and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, you know. So a couple quick questions. Could you briefly tell everybody, how did you come into your ministry and how did you start your ministry?
Yes. The way my wife and I started our ministry, we were AMEs first, or should I say I was a Baptist first, and then I relocated back to Morton, and I started fellowshipping at Shorter AME Church. And then my wife was from North Carolina, and she came up, and we courted back and forth for 2 years, and she came up. We had to find a church home, and we found the AME Church in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, by the name of Wesley AME Church. From there, we grew under the tutelage of Pastor Lloyd C. Wilson. Upon him retiring, we were under the tutelage of Alberta Jones, which was a great teaching for us. She showed us, and she taught us a lot about church, more than that, about God, how he will use you if you allow him to use you. So we were there for about 10 years. And the Lord laid a vision on my wife's heart first for us to go out and branch out and start our own church. And that's what we did. And, of course, people thought it was going to be a flash in the pan. We started right here in our house, in our living room. And if you read the book of Acts, that's where the church started. In the 2nd chapter, to be exact, in people's living rooms. They went from house to house and broke bread, and more so than that, they helped each other. If someone was in need, then they would provide whatever they needed for. And that's what we're all about, about my father's business ministry. That's the name of our ministry. And the last 3 initials is New Outlook on Life. And that's what we try to give people, a new outlook on life. We're a missions church. We meet people where they are. If you need a car, we're going to pray for you to get a car. If you need a job, we're going to pray for you to get a job. We don't care what your past life was about. That's between you and God. But we're just grateful that he has ordered our steps. He has branched us out to be a blessing to people. But more so than that, to be a blessing to him. You don't know our story, but you see God's glory in us. And we're just so grateful that we can say that we are about our Father's business.
Thank you. So you say you started your church, your ministry in your home, and it's been 10 years now, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And out of those 10 years, have you ran into any hiccups? Was you ever discouraged about saying, yo, why did we start this or whatnot?
Never. When God is in it, there is no limit. And when God puts something together, just like marriage, no man should put asunder. And God gives you a vision, you're supposed to stick to it. Of course, life is filled with transition. It's filled with trials and tribulations. But it says that those who call on the name of the Lord shall be saved from anything. And also says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things will be added to you. And then it also says, I'm not going to preach, but it also says that when we are weak, God makes us strong. So no time do we ever look back. No time do we second guess ourselves, because we knew that there would be storms, but every storm runs out of rain.
So that's great. Thank you. So, periodically before you became a minister, and I don't want to pry, but I'm sure a couple of our listeners would like to know, what kind of lifestyle did you have? Like, you don't have to get really into detail, but just explain, because a lot of times people do not understand how a person would turn their life over to God. So could you just briefly give me a small synopsis on that?
Sure, I'd be glad to. I'm truly not ashamed of my past. Everyone has a past that we're not proud of. But through our past, that gives us a bright future. And I always say, look back, but don't go back. And when you do look back and you go back in the recess of your mind, you know that was only God that brought you to this point where you are today. And I enjoy talking to people when they say that they do have a past and they're not ashamed of it. As I said, you don't know my story. The only person who knows my story is God. But I'm just so grateful that he turned my life around. As I say in my prayers, I thank him for his changing power, and I thank him for his saving power, for this wretch whom he saved one day. So don't ever be afraid of your testimony. Your testimony is going to help somebody else. Don't think that you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Don't think that you have never done anything bad, because everyone falls short from the pulpit to the door. But we have a forgiving God. Man won't forgive you, but God will. So I came from a background, was less fortunate. I would never say we were poor, because we still ate. We still had food on the table. We still dressed. Maybe hand-me-downs from one person to the next, or maybe someone gave us clothes. But we never knew that we were less fortunate, because, I had a hard-working father, a hard-working mother, which showed me and gave me my independence now. And my main focus is provision, not only for my family, but people who I love that are in my life, including our congregation. I worked for Smith, Klein & French, turned into Smith, Klein & French, then was Smith, Klein & Beckman, then was Smith, Klein & Beecham. And when I retired after 32 years, it was GlaxoSmithKline. And I like when people ask me why they changed the name, because Glaxo put up all the money, so that's why their name is first. So I've been truly blessed. I'm grateful to God every day for what he's done in my life, and more than that, what he's going to do.
Very good, very good. So that at the Neighbors Podcast, what our mission is to inform everybody that listens to us about how the neighborhoods are, the type of people that we have in our neighborhoods, and to strengthen our communities. So we're so glad that I got a chance to interview you, not only because you are my pastor, but I really wanted to interview you and to get your story across so people can listen to your story, because there's a bunch of people